From a very fast clear round, we're sitting on 3 down, 12 jumping faults. Going up to the October Hill. And there we are, 12 in 64.97 for first to go Juan Carlos Garcia and Captain Jack. So interesting to see how that line really caught him out. We'll see what the next rider does with the turn back from the Oxer at 8 and then pushing away from the Lugano VIP deck, and whether they can get the power and the spot that will carry them all the way through those 3 elements, the 3 related elements, without touching a rail. Katie Laurie is going to be our next to go, staying with Olympians as we do so. Katie, who in fact represented New Zealand at the Olympics, but now rides for Australia, rides Carissa McCall's Serra Caruso. Serra Caruso is by Casal. Casal, the Holsteiner stallion, of course, to great success with Ralph Joran Bengtsson, but Katie Laurie's Serra Caruso, bred here in the United States of America from the American Warm Blood Association. We've seen the split rock used a couple of times as the first fence. Anderson Lima's used it early in the course a lot. It steps up to being second tonight, and it's Oxer on 1-2 on the curved line. Katie there, she just had the left hand open all the way down to that Lugano Diamonds fence. So obviously just this horse can maybe over-anticipate a roll back to the right like that. Good. So this is where Juan Carlos Garcia's problems maybe started. He was clear of this jump, but his approach to this, the line he then took afterwards, yeah, they're just trying to turn very, very short up to this horseflight fence. She gets away with just having one of the horseflights down. The Vitalize is so close to coming down for Katie Laurie. So just having, you know, almost mirror image problems to Juan Carlos Garcia. She's a good bit faster though, 60.03, very nearly 5 full seconds faster for Katie Laurie, and she has just the 4 faults. Well, Peter Petschenning and Annabel van Verhet Pustes. Peter and Annabel have been top 5 with us already this week in action. We saw Peter last night flying the flag for Austria in our World Cup qualifier class as well. Peter based here in Texas for a very long time. He's from Pilot Point. So fantastic to have, of course, in the national division, so many local riders here in Texas, but actually the international riders of Texas came here to really try and make a mark in World Cup action this weekend in front of a home crowd. Absolutely rocking the Coliseum last night here. Actually has good pace across the ground, because you can see that Annabel just sits up with the head every so often and just maybe makes Peter's life a little bit difficult in the last stride or two to a fence. So nobody really has felt the need to get inside this wrestling decoration, because they've all been coming home with faults. And it's 4 in 66 for Peter Petschenning and Annabel van Het Pustes today. So that will go second best. Serra Caruso and Katie Laurie are our leaders as we wait our first speed clear here in the Lugano Diamonds. Oh, top 10 finisher last night with us in World Cup action with the fastest 4-faulter with his World Games Horse Blue movie. This is Rowan Willis, Rowan for Australia now with his own Wellington Grey Goose. So it's actually Hallie Grimes, Hallie and Ace taking it on. Ace by Berlin, again a couple by Berlin here as well. Hallie Grimes rides for the great named Can We Keep It LLC. Clear to here, as they say, just clears the macaroons. Nicely spotted over on the left-hand side of that oxer. The first to clear the A element of the horse flight. So Hallie could be our first clear round. She's going to get this inside squeak here, past the wrestling, and she's just not on a true one. And Ace isn't sure whether to commit or not, and they end up just throwing in the stop. So Hallie and Ace will also not be our first clear. So they will come in with minimum of 4 jumping faults for the refusal. Probably time as well. Yep, time penalty starting to click in as we exceed the 72 seconds time allowed. 4 for jumping, 2 for time for Hallie Grimes and Ace. As I said, here is Rowan Willis. Rowan with Wellington Grey Goose. Rowan was top 10 last night in our World Cup qualifier here in Fort Worth. Rowan has been jumping this horse at the 5-star level just recently, second in a winning round competition in California. Wellington Grey Goose by a sire called Korlensky. Of course, himself by Kornel Dobelensky out of an arpeggio mare. So still on the clear all the way to the last. Wellington Grey Goose. He's always fast as well, Rowan. He's just going to be a shade over 60 seconds. So Katie Laurie was faster, but Rowan Willis and Wellington Grey Goose are our first clear in 60.48, and they become the ones to beat here. From a horse bred at Wellington and Hampshire in Great Britain to a rider from Wellington in Florida. This is Kristen van der Veen, Bull Run Jumper 6 LLC's runs Prince of Peace. Next to go for the United States of America. Kristen, who was part of our jump off for the World Cup last night, was top 5 in our power and speed competition earlier in this week with Prince of Peace. ever speedy Kristen van der Veen. She's still on the clear at the moment. Can she exceed those 60.48 seconds? She's going the right way about it, especially if she leaves the horse flight that was so influential early on in the class. Now, she doesn't come inside the wrestling. Does she leave the door open for somebody to sneak in front of her in due course? Almost banks the back row of the ESI, dances on it. At 59.74, she does get on to 60 seconds, and that's including going outside the wrestling. So Kristen van der Veen, Bull Run's Prince of Peace, maybe proved that it's better to stay going forward and smooth on the outside line than rather than trying to sit up, pull and haul and break the rhythm, going for the tight inside line back from Vitalized to ESI. Kristen van der Veen in the lead now, 59.74. Luis Sabino Gonçalves, Camino Imperio Egipcio. Luis again was one of our faster rounds with faults last night. So took a few more World Cup points. He's been following the World Cup tour. They're based here now in the US to compete, but originally from Lisbon, Portugal. And a fantastic record, you know, probably one of Portugal's leading riders for many years. Luis has multiple victories in the Lisbon Nations Cup Grand Prix. He is going to just have the Longines watch face vertical down. That's a tricky fence in its placing because they come into it off the right rein. They need to be flicking in the air down to try and land as tight as possible over onto the left rein. And that can just often leave the horses just a little bit less tidy with their legs. And that's kind of what happened to him. Tough turn there. He wasn't as true as he would have liked out of that turn. Ends up with the front rail off the ESI. So it's a total of 8 in just over 60 seconds, 61 on the clock. Luis is always fast. Camino Imperio Egipcio and Luis though go into 6th best. Vanessa Mannix of Alberta owns and rides Kitting de Ozier. Vanessa had a very good result in one of the world ranking classes during the course of the Thunderbird Nations World Cup week in September, and was top 10 in the standings of World Cup action prior to this Fort Worth weekend. Little Dalman fence, the skinny rails down. Again, like it's always worth reminding ourselves that those skinny rails are lighter, so they will take much less punishment. And again, putting them off the back of a turn is clever use of the materials by Anderson Lima, Nick Granat and their team. Our course designers here this weekend in Texas. So Vanessa's sort of policy is, with that early rail, is just changed. You can see her going out a little bit wider, not riding the true direct routes from place to place to just let this horse make sure of every jump now. It's tough though. As much as you try and do that though, you've still got to nail these distances. Vanessa Mannix and Kitting de Ozier, 7th best with 8 faults in 71.68. Luis Sabino Gonçalves is also on 8. Hallie Grimes is on 6. Peter Pett-Schenning and Katie Laurie are on 4 each. Rowan Willis and Kristen van der Veen are our 2 clears, and Bull Run's Prince of Peace and Kristen are the fastest in 59.74. Caitlin Miller-Roberts. Caitlin and Giant, they elected not to run last night in World Cup, which would have been their first career World Cup. They will aim today and see what they can produce in this $40,000 Lugano Diamonds meter 45 speed. Well, we talk about how the in-gate can influence and lure these horses, but this is much more than just a little bit of a pull as you're coming around the corner. Giant is really just looking back to that in-gate. Caitlin gets him back in front of the leg now. I think we'll be fine, but she's going to have wasted a little bit of time. So her countdown will have elapsed of 40 seconds, 45 seconds. So her clock has started automatically, so she's 6.13 seconds adrift as she even starts. Caitlin leaving them all standing, just getting past this in-gate again. Not really bothering him now. She'll have to go and figure that one out. It's going to be, yeah, it is clear. Just the time force, 2 for time for Caitlin Miller-Roberts, and Giant goes third best on our leaderboard at the moment. The current leader in the Horseflight Fist Pump Challenge comes forward now, Jordan Gilchrist. Jordan, who's been having a fantastic show here with us at Fort Worth. Jordan with Martin Huygens. Serpico goes next. Serpico by the Irish sire Azavendi out of a mare by Aldatus Zed. Win after win this week for Jordan Gilchrist, and leading a rich batch. When we put all of the divisions together, Texas are well in the lead in terms of victories. Flower Mound in Texas is the leading town as well. Can Jordan and Serpico, though, strike sure here in terms of international action? We saw Serpico jump a few times this year, including at the Hampton Classic in September. And that is one against them, unfortunately. We go back to having problems at the A element of the Horseflight double. Jordan and Serpico pick up 4 faults there. The back rail is down. And looking at this line, somebody coming clear to here, you know, that will be the line where this is won or lost. Trying to get it inside and do the leave out all the way up to number 12. 69.97 though for Jordan and Serpico with their 4 faults, so they will go into 6th place behind Peter Petchenik and Katie Laurie on 4 faults, Caitlin Miller-Roberts on 2, Rowan Willis on clear, and Christian van der Veen on the fastest clear, 59.74. Christian Heineking from Alido here in Texas, just outside Fort Worth. Christian with NKH LLC's NKH Mr. Darcy by the Ludo Philippart's horse Darko for German World Cup finalist Christian Heineking. So Christian. So Karma and TaylorMade Cash is King, unfortunately just picking up the rails now. Karma was the winner of our preceding international national class here at Fort Worth. Say with that, Christian just a moment ago finishing his round, but a big old set of faults for Christian Heineking and NKH Mr. Darcy with us here. Karma finishes with 16 jumping faults. TaylorMade Cash is King. Karma, who a busy old drive, came down here having competed up in Ohio just last weekend at the World Equestrian Center venue up there in Ohio. And Karma and TaylorMade Cash is King take us up to the break. Christian van der Veen, Bull Run's Prince of Peace, and Rowan Willis are our clears. And 59.74 is the score that leads for Christian van der Veen. We're going to take a very short drag break here at the Will Rogers Coliseum and be back to the action in this Lugano Diamonds meter 45 speed in just a few moments' time. So welcome back to Fort Worth. Juan Carlos Garcia is back with a second ride now. This is Habab W, owned by Neil Jones Equestrian, by Nabab Derev, this one. Juan Carlos said that he sort of proved that tricky line of the horse flight double to the Vitalize later on here, the related distance. He had all three parts down for 12 faults with his first ride. Kristen van der Veen with the clear. With Bull Run's Prince of Peace, 59.74 is what leads at the moment in this Lugano Diamonds meter 45 table A speed, a single round of jumping being the decider. Well, that's a new one. We haven't seen that double come down yet. On to Juan Carlos Garcia as we get back to the action here. Well, he has the measure of this line now, as most of them seem to have after it was an early big problem for pretty much everyone early in the draw. 72 seconds time line, just needs to be a little bit conscious of that, I think. Yep, 72 on the nose. He will get no time penalties. Juan Carlos Garcia and Habab W will have 4 faults, as slow as it is possible to go without getting further faults. Juan Carlos Garcia, Habab W on just the 4, and will be 7th best on our ranking. Just pipped to the post last night in World Cup action. Tiffany Foster, two-time Canadian Olympian and winner of the World Cup qualifier this year at Washington. Tiffany with Artisan Farms LLC's Vienna by Valentino. Can she beat out Kristen van der Veen for the lead at the moment? Kristen's our only rider to get around this track under 60 seconds and did so still going outside the Restylane decoration between the Vitalize and the ESI at 10 and 11. Let's see what way Tiffany's going to go here with Figure. So the macaroons down with the water tray sitting again behind the plane of the vertical. That's the way Anderson set that test up pretty much everywhere he's used it this weekend in the international tour. So Tiff, wow, I mean a fast 4 could still go top 5 as things currently stand. Katie Laurie sits there in 4th. Tiffany's going to go out wide. And you can see she's jumping the ESI, level pegging with the winning time at the moment over the whole course. So Tiffany and Vienna come home in 64.97 with their 4 faults. It goes top 5 as things stand anyway. Katie Laurie, though, very, very fast with her 4 faults, 60.03. Will take a little bit of beating. Rowan Willis has a very fast time with a clear, but only good enough for second against a challenger like Kristen van der Veen at the moment. West Coast rider Caitlin Campbell with Constance and Eliza Bros's Féon by Zazu. Won our power and speed earlier on this week, so opened up the international division with a victory for California, my apologies, Féon and Caitlin. Can they challenge 59.74? So the horse flight is going to put her up to a total of 8, having had the Oxer on the way around past the VIP deck down to Caitlin and Phil. They were probably on for quite a fast time, because you can always imagine that as soon as you have a pole, you, whether consciously or not, would probably just ease up. You won't be riding right to the edge of the envelope, and when she had the second rail down, probably changed down a whole gear. Caitlin Campbell and Phil, 8 in 62.86 for 11th. So Katie Laurie has that very fast 4 faults with Sarah Caruso. Katie's back with us with Dalco and Eddie Nijuelon's Cos van Heister. Cos well placed with us already this week, taking third in that power and speed competition on day 1 of the international tour. And they have to be so brave with these short turns up to something like, go direct across there to number 8, the short turn up to the rail. She did have the short turn there to that double. So Katie Laurie and Cos van Heister, unfortunately, just paying the penalty a couple of times here. She will get a total of 8 jumping faults within the horse flight, because she's had the rail off the A element and refused the B element. We see her down here at the bottom of the ring, just going to re-jump the first as a courtesy jump, indicating she retires and letting Cos van Heister go out on a nicer experience from the ring, and they'll put it all back together for another day. Rowan Willis is going to be our next to go as we stay with Australia. Rowan, with a horse bred at the Billy Stud in Great Britain by Billy Congo. This is Billy Gilder from the Anglo-European Stud Book. And Rowan. That's Rowan currently sitting in second with Wellington Grey Goose, with one of just 2 clears over the course. But the fact that we don't have more clears than that just shows how hard everyone is trying to catch those leading times, because they are getting themselves into trouble by trying to amp up the pace. Well, we're just starting to see that come down more and more. Christian Heineken broke the duck of that fence at 5-8, but now it's come down quite a few times, particularly since the drag break. I don't think that has any influence on it again. I think it's just the riders thinking about where they could maybe just squeak an extra little bit of time, and that's one of the places where the plan that they've started to set up for themselves isn't paying out, and they just need to be maybe sacrificing a little bit of distance. They need to come out deeper into the ring and just give themselves a little bit longer up to that in and out. So Rowan's coming home on 4. He's steady on the clock as well. 4 and 1. 4 for jumping, 1 for time for Rowan with Billy Gilder. Total of 5 and 9th place. Peter Petschening, It's the Senator by Der Senat. As I say, same sire as the very first horse we saw in the ring, Captain Jack. Well, Peter with this one in the ownership of his Petschening Show Jumping LLC operation. Peters just staying on it, though. He has had the rail, but he had a very good run across the ring to number 8. I thought he'd done everything right because he just turned down the temperature a little bit coming around to the horse flight rather than going all out at it, and it just didn't work out for him. He still had it. And over the last. 65.91, 8 for jumping for Peter Petschening, and it's the Senator, 13th on our ranking so far. Luis Sabino Gonçalves, Biloba de Shane, second ride for the Portuguese Championship level rider, Equiverandas, with the ownership of Biloba de Shane by Willingmoed van der Arenberg from Sol Francais Studbook. And the clear at the moment. Luis had 8 with his first horse. He probably can't have more than 4 now, just one to go, but he's steady. But he is clear, only clear round number 3. And remember, it's faults and time, so as our third clear round, no matter that 67.98 time, he does go into third place. So Jordan Gilchrist back with us. Jordan this time is going to ride her own Happy Boy van de Durenackers by Tinker's Boy. Nabab Derev, the dam sire of this Belgian warm blood. Going the right way for a clear if she stays at this pace, but if she stays at this pace, I'm not sure that will be challenging the top 2, Kristen van der Veen and Rowan Willis. And Happy Boy, unfortunately, just has the front rail off that oxer going past the VIP deck. So Flyman Texas's Jordan Gilchrist, 4 faults in 66.82, sitting in 8th place at the moment. Our best 4 faulter is Katie Laurie, and Sarah Caruso sitting 5th. Caitlin Miller-Roberts has 2 for time to sit 4th. Luis Sabino we saw go into 3rd a moment ago. Rowan Willis sits 2nd in a clear. Kristen van der Veen in a clear 59.74 on the clock is our leader with Bull Run's Prince of Peace. Mexican rider Humberto Curate Gomez and Dirabanta next to go. Humberto owns and rides Dirabanta by Varant. Little light rail at the Dalman Jump Company comes down. Humberto just thinking a little bit about the distance down to the Lugano. Riding this horse in the bitless bridle as well. Obviously, the mare a little bit delicate about the mouth, but it maybe just doesn't give Humberto the adjustability that he'd like in a perfect world. Time fall 2, 16 for jumping, 1 for time, 73.56 on the clock for Humberto Curate Gomez and Dirabanta. Just a half dozen or so to go in this Lugano Diamonds final FEI competition, the meter 45 table A speed, Longines world ranking class. Kristen van der Veen, Bull Run's Prince of Peace, Wellington Grey Goose, Rowan Willis, Luis Sabino Gonçalves riding Biloba de Shane. They are our only clears, holding the top 3 spots on the leaderboard, and 59.74 is the time to beat, set by Kristen van der Veen. We're going to see Kristen back. So here's Jenny McAllister. Jenny, who's a 2-time World Cup finalist for the United States of America, been a Nations Cup rider for the US as well. Been a qualifier winner in the past. Jenny with Légy's Touch the Sun by Necton. Not a bad time at all, 62.19. We'll go behind Rowan Willison into third place for Jenny McAllister and Legis Touch the Sun. Only clear round number 4. Legis Touch the Sun and Jenny give us clear round number 4 after we've seen 22 showing. Well, this next combination, we go to them live, just taking a quick look at that water tray vertical and the macaroons, those pale pastel rails. It's Hallie Grimes and NKH Kalango by Calvados. Hallie and NKH Kalango just on this tricky line already carrying the 8 faults. With the Vitalize here down towards the bottom of the ring. So we're still just going to be on the 4 clears. And we're going to see Kristen van der Veen back in a moment. We're also going to see one from Connor Swale, last night's World Cup winner. Got Rowan Willis back one more time as well with the ever-fast blue movie. So this competition far from over, but Hallie Grimes and NKH Kalango will end up on 12. Taking target at her own leading time. Kristen van der Veen with the bull run jumpers. Bull runs Agape. Agape, the 9-year-old by Laval from the Holsteiner stud book. We see she's like all very fast riders. She can quite often not look that fast. So I'm just wondering whether this slightly younger horse, Agape, she's not pushing the way she can do with the likes of Prince of Peace. And of course, with the rails, it becomes a little bit academic anyway, as the 4 clears, led by Kristen and Prince of Peace, will stay secure at the top of our leaderboard. Time for 2, Kristen van der Veen and Bull Runs Agape. That is a total of 9, 8 for jumping, 1 for time, and both rails down, totting up to the 8 falls, coming in that horseflight double. Martin van der Hoeven and Maurice Hutter. Nucciarelli International LLC's Maurice Hutter. A horse by Eldorado van der Zeschuk. The dam sire here is Vigo d'Arsuit. Vigo d'Arsuit was ridden by Philippe Lejeune on his way to the world title back at Lexington in 2010. Well, Jordan Gilchrist, who is currently leading the $500 Horseflight Fist Pump Challenge, might put some of that money into having the Horseflight jump burnt down after today, and the other riders might join it. It is absolutely the most influential in this competition. Martin van der Hoeven and Maurice Hutter just have the one down, and it is there. They go 7th best with 4 faults in 63.81, and just 2 left to start. So we'll have minimum of 4, maximum of 6 clears out of 27 starters. So the rider who has now won no less than 3 of the legs of the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup circuit here in North America. Last night was the 6th of 8, and Connor Swale has thus far won 50% of the entire season. Connor with Aston Torquefire's Gamble now today in the Lugano Diamonds class. Can he reinforce success? Is he on a roll? So still on the clear score, just totting up to about 40 seconds as he turns back. He gets good spot there. Connor just almost lifts the horse up and throws him into the Horseflight double. So he just swings out a little bit past the in-gate to get a line up to the ESI, pushing up 59.74 to beat. It's incredibly close, but not quite close enough. Connor and Gamble, 60.60. He will fall behind both Kristen and Rowan Willis, and Connor goes 3rd best with Gamble. Well, on paper, this could so easily be the winner. Probably one of the most experienced horse and rider combinations in the starting field of the Lugano Diamonds. Just been having a little bit of forefaultitis, otherwise they are incredibly fast. Rowan has been fast already with Wellington Grey Goose. But Blue Movie now could help him have 2 steps of the podium. So Rowan and Blue Movie, as said, they are that 4 fault IDA 60.17, but with 4 faults it is 8th best for Rowan and Blue Movie. So that is going to wrap up our final FEI division, and it is going to be victory for Kristen van der Veen. Kristen, who was our Grand Prix winner at Columbus, Ohio this year on the Split Rock Jumping Tour. She's been a World Cup finalist for the United States of America. She takes victory here today with Prince of Peace. Rowan Willis, Wellington Grey Goose, second. Connor Swale, third. Jenny and Legis Touch the Sun, fourth. Luis Sabino Gonsalves, fifth. And they are our 5 clears. Caitlin Miller-Roberts and Giant take 6th with the 2 time faults. Katie Laurie was the fastest 4-faulter in 7th, and Rowan Willis and Blue Movie will round out our top 8 on the results. 9th on the results, Martin van der Hoeven and Tiffany Foster Vienna. Last night's runner-up, Tiffany, today riding Vienna, sits in 10th place. 4 faults covering the spread right the way down. The top 14 places with 4 or less. You see there, Rowan Willis and Billy Gilder on the total of 5. Well, thanks so much for being part of our international broadcast, of course, on the Split Rock Jumping Tour app and website. You can continue watching our final 2 classes today, the Mini Prix and the National Prix, coming up from the Fort Worth International here at the Will Rogers Coliseum.